Have you ever treated someone with complete sincerity only to watch them become distant? You replay the conversation. You were kind. You tried to help. You meant well. So how did you end up looking cold, arrogant, needy, or unreliable? That gap is the subject of Heidi Grant Halvorson's book, No One Understands You and What to Do About It. Its central idea is uncomfortable but useful. The message you believe you are sending is not always the message another person receives. Between intention and perception sit invisible filters, past experience, stereotypes, insecurity, personal goals, and whatever the other person needs from you at that moment. This is not a guide to becoming fake or charming everyone you meet. It is a guide to becoming easier to read, to making your real intentions visible in a form other people can recognize. When someone forms an impression of you, the mind usually works in two modes. The first is fast and automatic. Within moments, people register your face, voice, posture, and behavior. Then they compare those signals with patterns already stored in memory. Before either of you has said much, a label may already be forming: friendly, distant, confident, awkward, trustworthy, threatening. A slower process can revise that first judgment, but revision takes attention and effort, and the human mind prefers shortcuts. Unless people have a reason to reconsider, they often keep the first explanation that seems good enough. A famous hiring experiment shows how powerful those shortcuts can be. Researchers sent thousands of fictitious resumes to real job advertisements in Boston and Chicago. The applications were comparable, but the names were changed to suggest different racial backgrounds. Resumes carrying white-sounding names received about 50% more callbacks than those carrying African-American-sounding names. The study did not reveal what each employer consciously believed. It showed that the same qualifications can be treated differently before the person behind them is ever seen. That is why good intentions are not enough. You may know that your silence means concentration, while someone else reads it as disapproval. You may know your confidence comes from preparation, while another person experiences it as superiority. Halvorson explains this problem through several mental lenses. 3 of the most useful are the trust lens, the ego lens, and the power lens. The trust lens asks 2 ancient questions: are your intentions good or bad? And are you capable of acting on them? Psychologists often describe these judgments as warmth and competence. Warmth tells people whether you seem friendly, sincere, and safe. Competence tells them whether you seem capable, reliable, and effective. Both matter, but warmth usually comes first. A highly capable person with hostile intentions is not reassuring. They are dangerous. So before trying to impress people with what you can do, make it clear that you are not a threat. The simplest way is to listen in a way that can be seen, put away distractions, use comfortable eye contact. Respond to what the person actually said instead of waiting for your turn to speak. A nod, a relaxed expression, or one thoughtful follow-up question can communicate more warmth than a long speech about how much you care. There is a blind spot here. Your listening face may not look the way it feels. Some people concentrate by frowning. Others become so still that they appear bored. Ask someone you trust what your face and body language communicate when you are focused. The goal is not to perform friendliness. It is to make sure your outside matches your inside. Warmth also comes from empathy. Try to understand what the situation feels like from the other person's side. Look for genuine common ground, but do not force it. Researchers have even studied what they call a superfluous apology, expressing regret for something that is not your fault. In one field experiment on a rainy day, a stranger approached commuters, apologized for the rain, and then asked to borrow a phone. People were more willing to hand over their phone after the unnecessary apology. It did not admit responsibility for the weather. It signaled, "I notice your discomfort, and I care." Small, honest vulnerability can create the same kind of connection. You do not need to reveal your deepest wounds, but admitting a minor mistake, an awkward moment, or something you are still learning can make you more human. Perfection creates distance. Appropriate imperfection creates room for connection. Once warmth has lowered the other person's guard, competence becomes easier to see. Competence is not only intelligence or talent, it is consistency. Do you keep your word? Do you arrive prepared? Can people trust you to finish what you start? Humility helps, but humility does not mean pretending you have achieved nothing, nor does it mean using a disguised boast. Real humility means describing your contribution accurately, giving credit where it belongs, and allowing evidence to speak. It can also be more engaging to talk about where you are going, not only where you have been. Research on the preference for potential found that, in some situations, people responded more strongly to future promise than to an equivalent record of past achievement. Potential contains uncertainty, and uncertainty pulls attention forward. So instead of listing every trophy you have collected, explain what you are building, what you are learning, and what may become possible next. Warmth opens the door. Competence gives people a reason to keep it open. Then comes the ego lens. Every person carries a private need to feel worthy, capable, and significant. When we meet someone, we do not evaluate them in isolation. We compare. Does this person make me feel better about myself, or worse? Does their success inspire me or expose something I fear I lack? The threat is usually strongest when the comparison is close. A brilliant pianist may not trouble a painter, but another pianist of the same age, from the same school, chasing the same opportunities, can feel painfully relevant. When self-esteem feels threatened, the mind finds ways to defend itself. It may change the scorecard. You get promoted, and someone decides promotions are for people with no life. It may absorb your success into a shared identity. You become one of us, so your achievement becomes proof that the team, family, school, or hometown is exceptional. It may dismiss the entire field. You are a gifted speaker. Speaking is superficial. Real work happens behind the scenes. Or it may create distance. Sometimes people drift apart because one person's progress has become a repeated reminder of what the other fears about themselves. That does not mean every strained relationship is caused by jealousy. Sometimes you really were insensitive. Sometimes values changed. The ego lens is one possible explanation, not permission to dismiss everyone who reacts badly to you. So what can you do when your success may be pressing on someone else's insecurity? Do not make yourself smaller just to keep everyone comfortable. But do not turn every accomplishment into a performance either. Share the full human picture, the work, uncertainty, mistakes, and trade-offs, not only the polished result. Then move some of the spotlight. Notice what the other person does well. Ask about something they care about. Give praise that is specific enough to be believable. You're amazing is pleasant but vague. The way you explained that problem made it easy for everyone to understand, tells them exactly what you value. Most importantly, create a sense of we. Shared goals and shared identity can transform your success from a threat into a resource. When people feel that you are on the same side, your light does not have to make theirs look dimmer. The final lens is power. Power here does not mean fame or domination. It means having more control over resources or choices in a particular relationship. An interviewer has power over an applicant. A manager has power over an employee. A client may have power over a vendor. And power moves. Today, someone decides whether to hire you. Tomorrow, you may possess expertise or information they urgently need. The difficult reality is that people with more power often have less reason to study those with less power carefully. When they do not depend on you, they can afford to rely on categories, assumptions, and fast judgments. It is not necessarily fair, but it is one of the central patterns described by the book's Power Lens. The solution is not to flatter, submit, or erase yourself. It is to make your relevance unmistakable. Start by understanding what the other person is trying to accomplish. What result do they need? What pressure are they under? What problem keeps returning? What risk are they trying to avoid? Then connect your value to that reality. Do not merely say, I work hard. Show what your work changes. Do not merely say, I'm creative. Bring an idea that solves a real constraint. Do not wait for someone to discover how useful you could be. Anticipate the next step. Prepare the information, remove a bottleneck, or offer a solution before you are asked. The moment you shift from someone who wants to be judged favorably to someone who helps create a better outcome, the relationship changes. You become more than a resume, a title, or a face in the room. You become a partner worth understanding. That does not mean allowing powerful people to exploit you. Usefulness without boundaries becomes servitude. The goal is to show what you can contribute under fair conditions while respecting your own limits. We often wish people could simply look at us and see who we really are. But other people cannot see our intentions. They see signals, and those signals pass through minds shaped by habit, fear, self-interest, and limited attention. Before an important conversation, ask yourself 3 questions. Do I seem safe and well-intentioned before I try to look impressive? Could something about this interaction be threatening the other person's sense of worth? And what does this person need to understand about the value I bring? That is not manipulation, it is translation. You cannot control every impression. Some people will misunderstand you no matter how carefully you communicate. Some judgments are distorted by prejudice, and it is not your responsibility to earn fairness from everyone, but you can reduce avoidable confusion. You can make warmth visible, competence concrete, success less threatening, and value easier to recognize. Being understood is partly luck. Making yourself understandable is a skill. Think of one person who seems to misread you. Which lens might they be using, and what signal could you change without becoming less yourself?